I trust we never have to have this conversation again.
No, of course not. Just this once.
Alright, it looks like it's time. The first Mortal Kombat 1 Combat Pack has been announced. This first round of DLC characters include Quan Chi, the demon sorcerer of the Netherrealm known for his dark magic, Ermac, the ninja who fights with telekinesis using the souls trapped within himself, Takeda, a ninja who first debuted in Mortal Kombat X, and one of the original combat kits unique for using his bladed whips and plasma sword, Peacemaker, main protagonist of the self-named hit HBO show, who mainly specializes in the use of long-range weapons and has a pet eagle, Omni-Man, the focal antagonist of the hit Amazon Prime Video series and comic book Invincible, who's pretty much just an evil, warped version of Superman. And lastly, Homelander, one of the main protagonists of the hit show also coming out of Prime Video, The Boys, and while different can also be classified as an evil Superman. Today's video will focus on the latter two characters, as I try to dive into what routes NRS can go with both Homelander and Omni-Man, and how NRS can make these two characters vastly different from one another. In my personal opinion, I think NRS is already going into this assuming there may be people out the gate thinking, well, these two characters are basically the same, so what's the point? And they will probably be up for the challenge in making these two characters very different. I also think it's a bit funny that Omni-Man and Homelander essentially are bad guy versions of Superman, and the Superman that we got in Injustice 1 and 2 was pretty much a bad guy. Taking a look into Homelander here, the first thing that sticks out to me is his overall fighting style. Homelander is a character that rarely has to exert himself physically, clearly due to the fact that he is usually overwhelmingly more powerful than everyone else, with his heat vision being his signature move. To him, lasering human beings is the same as killing ants. Typically when dealing with just one person, he'll sometimes take his time, whether it's squishing a person's head or simply just putting his arm through a man's chest and watching the life exit from his body. Now it's very rare that Homelander meets his match, but when he does, we can get an idea of how a character like this would look in a Mortal Kombat game. Homelander is a bit of a brawler. When we see the character get into it with others that can match his strength, we see a bit of sloppiness. He doesn't look like a complete novice when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. As we can see, he has the wherewithal to dodge and intercept punches, but the punches that he tends to throw are often wild and predictable. There are even some moments where Homelander will grab his opponent by the neck or chest area with one hand and load up a punch expecting his opponent to do absolutely nothing about it. Between these two characters, I think Homelander is likely to be the character that most closely resembles how Superman plays in Injustice 1 and 2, mainly just due to the fact that Homelander has heat vision and Omni-Man doesn't. With heat vision being Homelander's favorite move, he could be a character that has solid zoning capabilities, but I can also see NRS giving him a solid close-up game, maybe even having him have a command grab. On a more visual note, Superman in Injustice 1 and 2 was a character that floated in the air. I think Omni-Man is more likely to be the character that floats, while Homelander's feet will be on the ground, as he is a more grounded character from a live-action show. A show in which, so far, his biggest fights have actually taken place inside of buildings. As stated earlier, the clear and obvious difference that we could notice gameplay-wise between the two will be the lack of heat vision on Omni-Man's side. With that being said, Omni-Man's fight style is much different than Homelander's. In the show, Omni-Man is revealed to be a combat warrior so capable he's the commander of his own unit, and he's also been conquering planets for thousands of years. Omni-Man's fight style is very much like his demeanor in the show. No nonsense, straight to the point, and blunt. Omni-Man gets in your face, and he's likely to be more of a rushdown character. If he's full screen, he'll likely zip right towards you or even maneuver behind you to catch you off guard. Even though both Omni-Man and Homelander originate from comics, I think NRS will get a lot of inspiration from the animated show and the live action show. With Omni-Man being from the animated show, I think he's more likely to have very expressive and earth-shattering moves. There's a scene in the animated show where Omni-Man punches Mark so hard towards the ground that he bounces back up in the air. And funny enough, Superman has a very similar move in Injustice 2. I think this move has a very high chance of making it into the game. Omni-Man in that same fight versus Mark also does the famous Superman Sky Punch from 2013's Man of Steel. A very similar shot can be seen in Superman's Super in Injustice 2 as well. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Very excited to see the handling of these two fun characters. I can't wait to see the choices NRS decides to make when it comes to the references and costumes as well. Should be a lot of fun.